Jake flopped onto his creaky old sofa, the springs squeaking like a spaceship engine about to give up, the faint TV glow flickering across his messy Chicago apartment. Empty pizza boxes, crumpled code printouts, and a dusty coffee table showed his 2050 life was nothing like the epic space adventures he dreamed of as a kid. At 35, he was a software engineer whose projects crashed more than they launched. And his social life? Deader than a Mars desert. His phone buzzed, snapping him out of his fourth beer blues. It was Mike, his college buddy. Yo, Jake. Still single? Try Galactic Mates. Alien dating app. Zyloran girls are hot. Jake laughed so hard he nearly choked on his beer. Dating aliens? Mike's nuts, he thought, but the idea stuck like a catchy tune. Half drunk, half curious, he downloaded it. The screen flashed. Find love across the stars. Then, bam, his phone went wild. You've got a match. Zara from Zara wants to connect. Jake's eyes popped wide. No way. She picked me. A boring, lonely night had just turned into the wildest cosmic shock of his life. Welcome to Alien Whisper, where sizzling hot alien women and emotional sci-fi alien stories await you. If you enjoy thrilling adventures between humans and extraterrestrial beings, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below the video. Now let's dive into the story. Jake slumped into his beat-up sofa, the springs groaning like a spaceship engine on its last legs. The dim glow of the TV flickered across his cluttered Chicago apartment, lighting up a graveyard of empty pizza boxes, crumpled code printouts, and a coffee table that hadn't seen a cleaning rag in months. It was another Friday night in 2050, and like most of them, Jake was flying solo. At 35, his life was a far cry from the sci-fi adventures he dreamed of as a kid. He was a software engineer, sure, but his projects were more likely to crash than launch. And his social life? Let's just say it was deader than a Martian desert. He scrolled through his social media feeds, wincing at posts from friends living it up, parties, vacations, even a guy from high school who just proposed to a woman he met on a Mars colony work trip. Great, Jake muttered, tossing his phone onto the couch. Even Brian's getting action off-world. A wave of loneliness hit him harder than usual tonight, and he grabbed his fourth beer, hoping it might dull the ache. That's when his phone buzzed, snapping him out of his funk. It was a text from Mike, his best friend since college. Jill, Hottie. Still single? Try Galactic Mates. New app for dating aliens. Zyloran chicks are hot, Mike wrote, followed by a string of winking emojis. Jake nearly choked on his beer, laughing so hard he almost spilled it. Dating aliens? Mike's lost it, he thought, but the idea stuck in his head like a catchy jingle. He opened the App Store, and there it was, Galactic Mates, find love across the stars. The icon was a glowing heart with planets orbiting around it, like something straight out of a sci-fi flick. All right, why the hell not, he muttered, half drunk and fully curious. The app downloaded in seconds, and Jake started filling out his profile. The interface was slick, with animations of spaceships zipping past and planets spinning in a cosmic dance. It asked for basic info, interests, and a photo. Jake debated using an old college pic back when he had more hair and less of a beer gut, but decided to keep it real. He picked the worst selfie he had, one from a late-night coding binge, with pizza sauce smeared on his cheek, hair sticking up like he'd been zapped, and his favorite t-shirt stretched tight, proudly declaring, "I survived 2020. If anyone likes this, they're either blind or desperate," he chuckled to himself. For his bio, he wanted to be funny, but not try too hard. He typed, 35-year-old software engineer who loves sci-fi, hates Zoom meetings, and wants someone to share pizza with. Bonus points if you can debug my code. He added a quote for kicks. I'm not lazy. I'm just in energy-saving mode. It was cheesy, but felt like him. He hit submit and leaned back, not expecting much. Probably just bots or scammers, he figured. But then his phone went nuts, vibrating like it was about to launch into orbit. You have a match. Zara from Zara wants to connect, the notification screamed. Jake's eyes bugged out. No way, he whispered, opening her profile. His jaw hit the floor. Zara was drop-dead gorgeous. Silver skin that shimmered like moonlight, hair flowing like a cascade of stars, and eyes so deep they could swallow a galaxy. Her bio said she was a cultural ambassador from Zyloran into human customs, tech, and stargazing. She's perfect, Jake breathed, feeling a mix of awe and panic. And she matched with me? He stared at the screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. What do you even say to an alien? He decided to go with something nerdy, hoping it'd break the ice. Hey Zara, Jake here. So, is Zyloran anything like Tatooine? Because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Her reply came in seconds. Tatooine? Is that an Earth dish? Zyloran has many delicacies, but I've never heard of Tatooine. Jake burst out laughing, beer sloshing onto his shirt. Oh man, this is gold, he said, wiping his eyes. He typed back. No, Tatooine's a planet from Star Wars. It's a big movie franchise here on Earth. Oh, I see, Zara responded, adding a twinkling star emoji. Human entertainment sounds fascinating. Tell me more about this Star Wars. Jake grinned, feeling a spark of connection. It's about space battles, lightsabers, and good versus evil. You'd probably like it. Zyloran got any cool movies? We have holographic stories, she wrote. They immerse you in the tale, like living it. But I'm curious about you, Jake. What's an Earthling like? Jake leaned back, tried to sound cool. Well, I'm just a guy who likes fixing stuff and watching old sci-fi flicks. Not exactly a hero, but I'm pretty good at ordering takeout. What about you? What does Zyloran ambassador do? I study other cultures, she replied. Earth is chaotic, but intriguing. Your humor is strange. I like it. Jake's cheeks flushed. Was she flirting? Glad you think so, he typed. Maybe I can show you some Earth humor sometime. I'd like that, she wrote. Want a video call? I'm curious to see you. Jake's heart did a somersault. Video call? With her. He glanced around his apartment. Clothes everywhere, dishes piled high, and his reflection in the TV showing a guy who looked like he just rolled out of a dumpster. Give me 5 minutes? He typed, fingers shaking. All right, Earthling, she replied. Don't keep me waiting. Jake leapt into action like a man possessed. He threw clothes into the closet, shoved dishes under the sink, and ran a comb through his hair, which only made it worse. He swapped his stained t-shirt for a slightly less wrinkled button-up, sprayed some cologne he hadn't touched in years, and checked his reflection. Not great, but it'll do, he muttered. He sat back down, heart pounding like a drum. This is it, he thought. My shot to impress an alien babe. Don't screw it up, Jake. He hit the call button, and the screen flickered to life. A woman appeared, silver skin, ethereal features, and a smile that made his knees weak. She looked exactly like Zara's profile, young, stunning, with eyes that sparkled like distant stars. Jake's mouth went dry. The app's filters must have been working overtime, because she was flawless. Hey, Zara, he said, trying to sound smooth, but sounding more like a nervous teenager. Wow, you look amazing. She laughed, a sound like tinkling bells. Thanks, Jake. You're not so bad yourself. That shirt's bold. Jake glanced down at his shirt, realizing it had a faint ketchup stain. Yeah, it's my lucky one, he said, grinning. So, what's Zyloran like? Got any cool space stuff I should know about? It's beautiful, she said, her voice warm. Crystal spires, floating cities, and skies that shift colors. But I want to hear about you. Why'd you join Galactic Mates? Jake scratched his neck, nervous. Honestly, my buddy Mike dared me. I didn't think I'd match with someone like you. You're, kind of out of my league. Her smile widened, and Jake swore his heart skipped a beat. Leagues don't matter in space, she said. You're funny, Jake. That's rare. They chatted for what felt like hours, about Star Wars, Zyloran tech, and even Jake's embarrassing habit of talking to his houseplants. He was on cloud 9, barely noticing the time. Finally, she leaned closer to the camera, her eyes glinting. Jake, I'm visiting Omega Station tomorrow. Want to meet up for dinner? There's a place called Stellar Haven. I hear they serve Earth food. Jake's brain froze. Dinner? Like a date. He caught himself. Yeah, totally. Stellar Haven, tomorrow. I'm there. Great, she said, her voice teasing. Don't be late, Earthling. The call ended, and Jake sat there, staring at the blank screen. Holy crap, he whispered. I've got a date with an alien goddess. He didn't know that the woman he'd been talking to wasn't Zara, but Celine, her mother, using the app's filters to test his sincerity. Tomorrow's dinner was about to be a lot more complicated than he expected. Jake's stomach churned as the shuttle's engines hummed, lifting him from Chicago's spaceport to Omega Station. He'd never been off Earth, and now he was heading to a dinner date with Zara, the alien goddess from Galactic Mates. Their video call last night, her silver skin, starry eyes, and that killer smile, had him hooked. But nerves were eating him alive. What if she took one look at his rumpled shirt and bailed? Or worse, what if he tripped and face-planted in front of her? "Don't be a total idiot, Jake," he muttered, clutching his duffel bag like it was his only friend. The shuttle's window showed stars stretching into infinity, making Jake feel like a speck in the universe. He checked his reflection. Button-up shirt with a questionable stain, hair that looked like it had a personal vendetta, and a grin that screamed, "I'm freaking out." The other passengers, polished humans and aliens with glowing limbs or extra heads, made him feel like a hick at a galactic gala. His bag held the basics: a spare shirt, his multi-tool, and a half-eaten bag of chips for moral support. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud, and Jake stepped into Omega Station. His jaw hit the floor. The place was a sci-fi nerd's wet dream. Towering metal spires, holographic signs flashing in languages he couldn't parse, and aliens zipping around on hover platforms. The air smelled like ozone and something sweet, like cotton candy from another planet. A massive window framed the Milky Way, stars twinkling like they were laughing at his nerves. "Focus, man," Jake said, pulling up the app's directions. Zara had said to meet at Stellar Haven, a swanky lounge on the station. He navigated the chaotic corridors, dodging a tentacled alien and nearly getting run over by a rolling bot. The lounge was all smooth curves and glowing panels, with floating tables serving drinks that shimmered like liquid galaxies. Jake felt like he'd wandered into a movie set, except he was the guy who'd spill sauce on the star. He scanned the room, heart pounding. No Zara. No silver-skinned beauty with hair like a nebula. The place was packed. Aliens with feathers, scales, and one that looked like a walking cactus. But no one matched her profile. His eyes landed on a woman in the corner, sitting alone. She had silver skin and long, flowing hair, but she was, well, hefty. Like the chair was fighting for its life under her. Her dress was tight, sparkly, and showed more cleavage than Jake was prepared to process. She looked vaguely like Zara's profile, but older, rounder, and definitely not the filtered goddess from the video call. "No way that's her," Jake muttered, shaking his head. He opened Galactic Mates and typed, "Hey Zara, I'm here. Where you at?" He glanced around, expecting Zara to pop out from behind a table, all radiant and perfect. His phone buzzed almost instantly. He looked down, and his stomach dropped. The woman in the corner was tapping a holographic bracelet, her chubby fingers moving fast. His phone lit up with Zara's reply. "I'm at the corner table, Jake. Come say hi." Jake's eyes darted back to the woman. She waved, her smile wide and a little too knowing. His brain screeched to a halt. "No freaking way," he whispered, his legs moving on autopilot toward her table. Up close, she was even more substantial. Her dress clung to every curve, and her chair creaked ominously. Her face was round, with a double chin that jiggled when she smiled, but her eyes had that same starry glint he'd seen in the video call. Jake's knees wobbled. This was not the date he'd signed up for. Hi," he said, voice cracking. "You're Zara." She laughed, a deep, throaty sound that made nearby aliens glance over. "Sit, Jake," she said, patting the chair across from her. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Jake sank into the seat, his mind racing. "So, you the one I was texting? And video calling?" He winced, praying this was a glitch in the app. A floating orb waiter zipped over, dropping plates of glowing food, something like neon sushi, and drinks that sparkled blue. Jake stared at the food, tried to process. "Try the Luna fish," the woman said, popping a piece in her mouth. "It's divine." Jake nodded, taking a tiny bite. It tasted like spicy pineapple, and he forced a smile. "Yeah, real good." He sipped the drink, which hit like fiery licorice, making him cough. "Whoa, that's something." She chuckled, her dress glittering as she leaned forward. "You're cute when you're nervous," she said. "I'm Celine, by the way." Jake froze, fork halfway to his mouth. Celine? Not Zara. Her smile turned sly, and she tapped her bracelet again. Zara's my daughter, she said. I'm the one you've been talking to, Jake. The app's filters are generous. I wanted to see what kind of man you are. Jake's brain short-circuited. You're her mom. He buried his face in his hands, groaning. I was flirting with you. 4 hours. I told you about my houseplant named Chewbacca. Celine's laugh boomed, drawing stares. You were charming, she said, unfazed. Most men would have run by now. But you're still here, ketchup stain and all. She nodded at his shirt, and Jake wanted to melt into the floor. So, why the fake out? He asked, voice muffled by his hands. Was this just a prank? Celine leaned back, her chair groaning in protest. Not a prank. A test. Zara's brilliant, but she's stubborn. She's been single too long, refusing to find a match. I joined Galactic Mates to find someone for her. Someone real, not another Zyloran bore. Jake peeked through his fingers, stunned. You're playing matchmaker? For your daughter? That's wild. It's tradition, Celine said, her tone serious. Zyloran mothers ensure their daughters choose well. I needed to know you're not just chasing a pretty face. You're funny, Jake, and honest. That's a start. Jake's head spun. So, Zara's not even here? I came all this way for a job interview to be your boyfriend. Celine's eyes twinkled. Think of it as an audition. To court Zara, you'll need to prove yourself. 3 tests: strength, knowledge, and etiquette. Pass them, and you'll meet her. Jake groaned, rubbing his temples. Tests? I'm a coder, not knight. And no offense, but you're terrifyingly good at pretending to be Zara. Thank you, Celine said, popping another Luna fish in her mouth. I've had practice. Now eat. You'll need energy for what's next. Jake poked at his food, his appetite gone. If I fail these tests, do I get sent to a black hole or something? Celine's laugh was softer this time. You'll be fine. You're braver than you think, Earthling. They ate in awkward silence, Jake stealing glances at Celine. Her dress was bold, her confidence unshakable, and despite the shock, he couldn't help but admire her hustle. She was like a galactic mom on a mission, and he was the poor sap caught in her net. As the waiter cleared their plates, a loud beep echoed through the lounge. Red lights flashed, and a robotic voice blared. Warning, oxygen levels dropping. Maintenance required in Sector 7. The crowd stirred, some aliens scurrying off while others chattered nervously. Jake glanced at Celine, who frowned but stayed calm. What's going on? He asked. A glitch, she said, her tone tense. The station's systems are old. Jake's engineering brain kicked in. Glitch? I've fixed worse. Point me to Sector 7, and I'll take a look. Celine raised an eyebrow, intrigued. You volunteer? After all this? Hey, I've already embarrassed myself, Jake said, forcing a grin. Might as well play hero before I flunk your tests. Celine's lips twitched, almost a smile. Very well, Jake. Follow me. As they hurried through the station's corridors, Jake's mind raced. He'd come for a date, got catfished by a mom, and now he was diving into a crisis. This was either the worst night of his life, or the start of something insane. Jake hustled after Celine through Omega Station's polished corridors, his sneakers squeaking under the flashing red emergency lights. The robotic voice droned on, oxygen levels dropping. Maintenance required in Sector 7. His duffel bag bounced against his thigh, and his shirt, already a canvas of grease and sauce stains, felt like a badge of shame. Celine's sparkly dress glittered ahead, her silver hair swaying like a cosmic waterfall. Jake's heart pounded. He'd just volunteered to fix a space station crisis after getting catfished by a Zyloran mom. I'm so out of my league, he muttered, gripping his multi-tool like it was his only lifeline. They reached a heavy door labeled Maintenance, authorized personnel only. Celine tapped her holographic bracelet, and the door slid open with a hiss, revealing a tangle of pipes, blinking consoles, and a hum that made Jake's teeth buzz. 3 scaly aliens with 4 arms each scurried around, their claws clicking in a frenzy. The air was thin, like breathing through a straw, and Jake's head felt fuzzy. What's the deal? He asked, trying to sound like he wasn't panicking. Celine's starry eyes flicked to a console flashing red. The oxygen scrubbers are clogged. If they fail, the station's air turns toxic in hours. Jake swallowed hard. No pressure then. He stepped up to the console, its screen spitting error codes in neon green. The interface was alien, but he debugged enough crashed servers to spot a pattern. He flipped his multi-tool to a screwdriver and popped open a panel, revealing a mess of wires and glowing tubes, like a spaceship's guts got drunk at a rave. "Come on, you overpriced air purifier," he muttered, tracing a tube to a valve caked in blue gunk. He switched to the tool's mini laser and burned away the sludge, careful not to fry anything. The valve hissed, and the console's errors started clearing. Jake grinned, sweat dripping down his back. Earth Tech for the win. The scaly technicians chittered, one flashing a double thumbs up. The air felt less suffocating, and the robotic voice chimed. Oxygen levels stabilizing. Maintenance complete. Jake wiped his hands on his jeans, adding another stain to the collection. "That was fun," he said, though his knees wobbled like jelly. Celine crossed her arms, her dress sparkling like a galaxy. "You're resourceful, Earthling, but don't get cocky. You're not done yet." Jake's grin faded. "Done? I just saved the station from choking. What's next, mopping the floors?" Celine's lips twitched, a sly smile forming. "Something more social. Follow me." She turned, her dress catching the light, and Jake trailed after her, muttering about needing a nap. They wound through corridors packed with aliens, tentacled, feathered, and one that looked like a floating meatball, until they reached a massive door carved with swirling patterns, like a sci-fi temple. Celine tapped her bracelet, and the door opened, blasting Jake with music that sounded like a synthesizer got lost in a nebula. Inside was a ballroom crammed with Zylorans in tight, shiny outfits, dancing to a beat that made Jake's head spin. Floating tables sagged under piles of glowing food, and the air smelled like burnt sugar and something suspiciously like Jim's socks. "Welcome to a Zyloran feast," Celine said, her voice dripping with mischief. "Mingle, eat, dance. Show me you can handle our culture." Jake's eyes bugged out. "Mingle? I flunked small talk at my cousin's wedding." Celine nudged him forward, her chubby hand like a bulldozer, and vanished into the crowd. "Awesome," Jake muttered, clutching his duffel. Dumped at alien prom. He shuffled to a table, eyeing a plate of jiggling neon green blobs. "Safe to eat?" he asked a nearby alien with 6 eyes. It blinked, all 6 eyes, and slithered off. Jake shrugged, popping a blob in his mouth. It tasted like sour candy mixed with WD-40. He gagged, spitting it into a napkin, but a Zyloran woman in a skin-tight jumpsuit gasped, her silver skin turning purple. "What?" Jake said, wiping his mouth. "Bad batch. You ate the glorba," she shrieked, loud enough to stop the music. "It's for cleansing, not swallowing." Jake's face burned. "Oh crap, my bad. I thought it was Jell-O." The crowd murmured, clicks, chirps, and a hum that screamed laughter. Jake grabbed a glowing drink to rinse the taste, but it hit like spicy Listerine, making him cough and spray the table. The woman stormed off, muttering about Earth's savages. "Strike one," Jake whispered, slinking to a corner. He pulled out his phone, tempted to message Zara's profile. "Your mom's setting me up to fail." He typed, then deleted it. No whining. Not yet. A Zyloran with glowing tattoos offered a tray of wriggling, worm-like snacks. "Try the Skriva," he buzzed. Jake eyed the worms, which were staring back. "I'm good, man." Had a big jelly thing. The guy shrugged, but Jake's stomach growled. He grabbed a bread-like roll, only to bite into something that squeaked. He spat out a tiny, glowing critter that scuttled across the floor. A feathered alien screamed, and Jake dove under the table, heart racing. "I'm so getting banned," he hissed. Celine reappeared, her dress a walking disco ball. "Enjoying yourself?" she asked, way too amused. "Enjoying? I ate sacred jelly, sprayed a table, and killed a space bug." Jake said, crawling out. "Your party's a minefield." "You're still standing," Celine said, handing him a shimmering cloth to wipe his face. "Now dance." Jake's jaw dropped. "Dance? I trip over my own feet." But Celine dragged him to the dance floor, where Zylarans twirled in a synchronized routine, like yoga meets a music video. The beat thumped, and Jake's palms sweated. "This is gonna suck," he muttered, flailing his arms like a drunk puppet. The Zylaran stared, some giggling, others dodging. Jake bumped a tentacled alien, spilling its drink. "Sorry, dude," he said, but the alien hissed, tentacles flaring. Jake spun away, only to trip over a feathered woman's tail, sending her crashing. The crowd gasped, and Jake froze. Total accident. Celine clapped, laughing so hard her dress shook. "You're a walking disaster, Jake, but a charming one." She helped the woman up, who muttered and stomped off. "Zylarans value harmony." "You're breaking it." "Harmony? I'm a human wrecking ball," Jake said, wiping sweat. It sure was a mess. Grease, sauce, and something sticky. "Can I just say sorry and hi?" "Not yet," Celine said, her starry eyes glinting. "Join the toast." She shoved a glowing goblet into his hand and led him to a platform. The music stopped, and the crowd raised goblets. Celine spoke in a melodic language, and everyone sipped in silence. Jake followed, expecting another spicy nightmare, but the drink was sweet, like candied starlight. "Finally a win," he said a bit too loud. The crowd gasped, and Celine's eyes widened. "What now?" Jake whispered, panic rising. "You spoke during the silent toast," she said. "It's rude." Jake's face fell. "Are you serious?" "I'm striking out." The crowd murmured, and Jake felt like the galaxy's biggest loser. Desperate, he raised his goblet. To Zara. Awesome party. Sorry I'm a mess." He chugged, hoping it'd save him. A few aliens clapped, then more. The tentacle guy even nodded. Celine raised an eyebrow, impressed. "Bold, Earthling. You turned a faux pas into something." Jake grinned, his chest loosening. "So I'm not exiled?" "Not yet," Celine said, guiding him off the platform. "You're clumsy, but real. Zara might like that." Before Jake could reply, a crash shook the ballroom. A floating table, overloaded with food, tipped, sending glowing dishes smashing down. Aliens slipped in the mess, screaming, and a tentacled guest flailed, knocking over a light fixture. Sparks flew, and a wire dangled near a puddle of neon sauce, crackling dangerously. Jake's engineer brain kicked in. "That's gonna fry someone," he said, dropping his goblet. He sprinted over, ignoring Celine's shout, and grabbed his multi-tool. Climbing a wobbly chair, he sliced the wire clean, stopping the sparks. He jumped down, landing in sauce with a splat. "Fixed it," he said, raising his tool. His shirt was soaked, hair dripping, but the crowd clapped, real applause. The tentacled guest patted his shoulder, slimy but friendly. Celine approached, her dress untouched by the chaos. "You're a magnet for trouble," she said, her tone warm. "That was brave, Jake, and clever. Just my Tuesday," Jake said, wiping sauce from his face. "So, do I get to meet Zara? Or is there another ritual to screw up?" Celine's smile was cryptic. "Patience, Earthling. You're closer than you think." As technicians swarmed to clean up, Jake's phone buzzed. It was a Galactic Mates message from Zara's profile. "Heard you trashed Mom's party. Not bad, Earth guy. Keep it up." Jake's jaw dropped. "Zara's real? And watching me?" He glanced at Celine, who was busy with a technician. His heart raced. Was Zara here, or was this another trick? One thing was clear. He wasn't leaving Omega Station without finding out. Jake's heart was still doing backflips as he followed Celine through Omega Station's bustling corridors, his phone burning a hole in his pocket. That Galactic Mates message from Zara. "Heard you trashed Mom's party. Not bad, Earth guy. Keep it up," had him grinning like an idiot. Was Zara real? Was she watching him make a fool of himself at that Zyloran feast, where he'd eaten sacred jelly, sprayed glowing booze, and nearly started a riot? His shirt, a masterpiece of sauce, grease, and mystery goo, was proof he was in over his head. Yet Celine, the silver-skinned, plus-size matchmaker in her sparkly dress, kept marching ahead, her starry eyes glinting with plans Jake wasn't sure he wanted to know. "Yo, Celine, where we headed now?" Jake asked, dodging a hovering bot that nearly clipped his duffel bag. "Another party? 'Cause I'm pretty sure I'm banned from Zyloran catering." Celine glanced back, her smile sly as a fox. No feasts, Erfling. You're about to dive into a Zyloran market. Zara needs a man who can navigate our ways, trade, barter, adapt. Impress me, and you're closer to meeting my daughter. Jake's stomach did a somersault. A market? Like Space eBay? I'm broke, and my haggling skills are limited to begging for free pizza. Her laugh echoed, loud enough to make a passing tentacled alien flinch. You'll manage, or you won't. Either way, it'll be entertaining. They reached a massive archway pulsing with holographic signs in languages Jake couldn't read. Celine tapped her bracelet, and the doors parted, unleashing a wall of noise, shouts, hums, and a clatter of who knows what. The market was a sci-fi flea market on steroids, stalls stacked with glowing gadgets, wriggling plants, and jars of stuff that looked alive and unhappy about it. Aliens haggled in a dozen voices, from chirps to deep rumbles, and the air smelled like burnt metal and spicy soup. Jake's jaw dropped. "This is nuts," he said, clutching his duffel like a shield. "Welcome to the Zyloran Trade Hub," Celine said, gesturing like a game show host. "Buy something useful. Barter. Don't embarrass yourself too badly." She nudged him forward, her chubby hand like a battering ram, and melted into the crowd. "Great," Jake muttered, alone in the chaos. "She's going to watch me crash and burn again." His phone buzzed, and he checked it, hoping for another Zara message. Nothing. Just a low battery warning. Perfect timing, he sighed, shoving it back in his pocket. He wandered to a stall run by a feathered alien with a beak like a machete. The table was piled with glowing orbs that hummed softly. "Oh, what's these do?" Jake asked, pointing. The alien's beak clicked. Asterisk Vibrosphere star. Enhanced mood. Very rare. Its eyes narrowed, sizing him up. "What you offer?" Jake patted his pockets, finding only his multi-tool, a half-eaten bag of chips, and a crumpled tissue. How about chips? Earth delicacy. Crunchy as hell. He held out the bag, and the alien snatched it, sniffing like a suspicious dog. It chirped, tossed the bag back, and shoved an orb into Jake's hands. "Deal. Now, go." Jake blinked, clutching the orb. That was easy. The orb hummed louder, vibrating like a phone on steroids. He stuffed it in his duffel, feeling like he'd just won at space poker. "1 point for Jake," he said, strutting to the next stall. Big mistake. The next vendor, a tentacled blob with one giant eye, was selling jars of glowing slime. Asterisk Eterna Glaze asterisk, it gurgled. "Makes skin shine. You need pale one." Jake frowned, touching his face. Pale? Rude. But the slime looked cool, like liquid starlight. "What's the price?" "Trade," the blob said, eyeing his duffel. That buzzing thing. Jake hesitated. The vibrosphere? It was his only score. But Zara might dig shiny skin, right? "Fine," he said, handing it over. The blob tossed him a jar, which sloshed ominously. Jake opened it, sniffed, and gagged. It smelled like fish and regret. "This better make me look like a god," he muttered, smearing some on his arm. His skin sparkled, but also itched like crazy. "Oh crap," he said, scratching. The blob was gone, and Jake realized he'd been scammed. "Strike one," he groaned. Things got worse. At another stall, Jake tried to buy a shiny gadget that looked like a futuristic flashlight. The vendor, a scaly alien with too many teeth, demanded his multi-tool. "No way, this is my baby," Jake said, clutching it. Instead, he offered his sneakers, beat up but earth chic. The vendor laughed, a sound like breaking glass, and took the shoes, giving Jake the gadget. 2 steps later, Jake pressed a button, and the gadget sprayed glittery mist in his face. He coughed, now sparkling like a disco ball. "Are you kidding me?" he yelled, drawing stares. The vendor was conveniently missing. Barefoot, itchy, and glittering, Jake was ready to quit. But then he spotted a stall with a crowd, run by a Zyloran woman in a tight, neon dress that made Celine's look tame. She was selling asterisk mood crystals asterisk, fist-sized gems that change color. "Perfect gift," she purred, winking at Jake. "For your lover." Jake's ears perked up. "Lover? Maybe. How much?" His pockets were empty, but he had the slime jar. "Trade this." She sniffed it, grimaced, and shook her head. "No. Something personal." Her eyes landed on his shirt. It's unique. Jake looked down at his stained, ripped disaster of a shirt. It's a biohazard. But she insisted, and Jake, desperate for a win, peeled it off, standing in his undershirt. The crowd snickered, and Jake felt like a yard sale reject. She tossed him a crystal, which turned red in his hand, probably mocking his embarrassment. Zara better appreciate this, he muttered, stuffing it in his duffel. His luck tanked further when he bumped into a cart piled with glowing fruit. The cart tipped, and fruit rolled everywhere, squirting neon juice that smelled like sour candy. Aliens slipped, yelling, and Jake dove to catch a fruit, landing in a puddle of juice. "I'm cursed," he shouted, as a feathered alien shook a fist at him. Jake scrambled up, barefoot, glittering, and soaked, his undershirt clinging like wet tissue. The crowd was half laughing, half hissing, and Jake waved weakly. "Sorry, Earth Guy new here." Celine reappeared, her dress a beacon in the chaos. "You're a spectacle, Jake," she said, her laugh booming. "Is this your idea of blending in?" "Blending? I'm a neon train wreck," Jake said, wiping juice from his face. "Your market's a scam fest. I traded my shoes for a glitter bomb and my shirt for a rock." Celine handed him a shimmering cloth to clean up. "Yet you're still trying. That's something. One last chance to shine. Make a deal that matters." Jake groaned, but followed her to a central stall run by a Zyloran elder with glowing tattoos. The table held a single item, a small, humming cube that looked important. "Asterisk stasis core asterisk," the elder said. "Stabilizes tech. Rare. What's your offer?" Jake's duffel was a mess, orb, crystal, empty chip bag. He hesitated, then pulled out his multi-tool, his most prized possession. "This Earth-made fixes anything." His voice cracked, but he held it out. The elder's eyes narrowed, testing the tool's weight. "Deal," he said, handing over the cube. Jake clutched it, feeling a weird mix of loss and pride. The cube hummed softly like it approved. Before he could celebrate, a loud pop came from a nearby stall. A crate of mood crystals, like the one Jake bought, started sparking, then glowing too bright. Aliens screamed, backing away as the crate shook, leaking smoke. Jake's engineer brain kicked in. "That's gonna blow," he said, recognizing an overload from his coding days. He sprinted over, barefoot and slippery, and popped open the crate with his new cube. The stasis core hummed louder, and Jake jammed it into the crate's wiring, hoping it'd stabilize the crystals. The glow faded, the smoke cleared, and the crate stopped shaking. The crowd gasped, then clapped, real applause. Jake stood, juice-soaked and glittering, his undershirt torn. "Nailed it," he said, raising the empty chip bag like a flag. The Zyloran woman from the crystal stall winked, and even the elder nodded. Celine approached, her starry eyes wide. "You're a chaos magnet, Jake, but you think fast." "That was impressive. Just another day," Jake said, scratching his itchy arm. "So, do I get to meet Zara? Or is there another space circus to botch?" Celine's smile was cryptic. "You're close, Earthling. Very close." As the crowd dispersed, Jake's phone buzzed. He fumbled it out, expecting another market scam alert. Instead, it was a Galactic Mates video call request from Zara's profile. His heart stopped. He hit accept, and a face appeared, silver skin, starry eyes, hair like a nebula. The Zara from his first call, not Celine's filter trick. "Hey, Jake," she said, her voice smooth as silk. "Mom says you're a mess, but you're growing on her. Maybe on me, too." Jake's jaw dropped. "Zara? For real? You're here." He glanced around, half expecting her to pop out. She laughed, but something flickered on the screen, a glitch, or maybe a filter slipping. "Not quite," she said. "Keep surviving Mom's tests. I'm watching." The call cut off, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen, his brain fried. Was that really Zara? Or another Celine stunt? And why did her eyes look familiar? Jake's head was a mess as he trailed Celine through Omega Station's gleaming corridors, his bare feet slapping the cold floor. His undershirt clung to him, soaked with neon fruit juice, and his skin still sparkled from that scam artist glitter bomb at the Zyloran market. The video call from Zara, her starry eyes, nebula hair, and that glitchy flicker, kept replaying in his mind. Was she real, or was Celine, the silver-skinned, plus-sized matchmaker in her disco ball dress, pulling another stunt? His duffel bag, stuffed with a humming cube and a mood crystal, felt like his only anchor in this sci-fi nightmare. "I'm one bad trade away from selling my soul," he muttered, scratching his itchy arm. Celine glanced back, her starry eyes twinkling with mischief. "You're still sparkling, earthling. Zara might like the glow." Jake snorted, adjusting his duffel. "Yeah, right. If she's real, she's probably laughing her ass off. Where we going now? Another market to bankrupt me?" Celine's laugh was loud, making a passing feathered alien jump. "No markets. You're about to face a Zyloran tribunal. Zara needs a man with conviction, someone who can argue and stand firm. Prove you've got a spine." Jake's stomach dropped. "A tribunal? Like a court? I'm a coder, not a lawyer. My last argument was over who ate my leftover tacos." "You'll manage," Celine said, her dress glittering like a supernova, "or you'll crash spectacularly. Either way, I'll enjoy the show." They reached a towering door etched with glowing runes, like a sci-fi courtroom from a bad movie. Celine tapped her holographic bracelet, and the door slid open, revealing a circular chamber with floating platforms and a crowd of Zylorans, tentacled, scaly, and one that looked like a grumpy cloud. A central platform held a Zyloran elder in a shimmering robe, his eyes like black holes. Holographic screens projected Jake's face, zoomed in on his glittery, juice-stained mess. The crowd murmured, clicks, chirps, and a hum that felt like judgment. "Welcome to the Zyloran tribunal," the elder boomed, his voice shaking Jake's bones. "Earthling, you stand accused of disrupting our feast and market. Defend yourself." Jake's jaw hit the floor. "Accused? I was set up. Celine's the one throwing me to the wolves." He shot her a look, but she just smirked, lounging on a floating chair that groaned under her weight. "Begin," the elder said, pointing a glowing staff. Jake shuffled onto a platform, which wobbled under his bare feet. The crowd stared, and he felt like a zoo exhibit. "Okay, look," he started, rubbing his neck. "The feast? Total accident. I didn't know the jelly was sacred. It looked like lime jello. And the market? Those vendors scammed me. I'm the victim here, not the bad guy." The crowd gasped, and the elder's eyes narrowed. "You blame Zyloran honor? Bold, earthling. Evidence." Jake fumbled, pulling out his mood crystal. It turned red, probably screaming his panic. I traded my shirt for this rock, and it's useless. And don't get me started on the glitter bomb. My face is a disco ball because of your shady dealers." The crowd erupted. Some laughed, others hissed. A tentacled Zyloran shouted, "Insult! He mocks our trade." Jake winced, realizing he'd just thrown the entire market under the bus. "Strike one," he muttered, glancing at Celine, who was stifling a laugh. The elder banged his staff. "Silence. Earthling, you claim innocence. Yet you spoke during the silent toast. A grave disrespect. Explain." Jake's face burned. "I didn't know it was silent. I was trying to be nice, toasting your awesome party. I'm from Earth." We yelled cheers and clink glasses. "How was I supposed to know your rules?" He mimed a clink, nearly dropping his crystal. The crowd tittered, and Jake leaned into it. "Look, I'm a mess, okay? But I'm not trying to ruin your vibe. I just want to meet Zara and not die in the process." The elder's robe shimmered, unamused. "Zara? You dare invoke a Zyloran daughter in this court?" Jake froze. Crap, was that a no-no?" He glanced at Celine, who raised an eyebrow, clearly enjoying his meltdown. Desperate, he pivoted. "All right, fine, let's talk Celine. She's the mastermind here. She catfished me, pretended to be Zara, and dragged me into your feast and market to test me. If anyone's guilty, it's her for setting me up." The crowd gasped louder, and Celine's smile vanished. The elder turned to her. "Is this true, Celine? Did you deceive the earthling?" Celine stood, her dress sparkling like a galaxy. "Deceive? I vetted him for my daughter, as is our custom. He's proven resilient, if chaotic." Her eyes flicked to Jake, half annoyed, half impressed. Jake saw his chance. "Resilient? I'm a human piñata. But you know what? Celine's not so innocent herself. I bet she's been on Galactic Mates before. fishing for her own match, not just Zara's. It was a wild guess based on her app skills, but the crowd's murmurs grew, and Celine's face twitched. A tell. The elder's staff glowed brighter. Celine, is this true? Have you used a mate finder for personal gain? Celine's laugh was nervous now. Preposterous. I'm a mother, not a suitor. But her bracelet flickered, projecting a Galactic Mates profile. Hers from years ago, complete with a flirty bio. The crowd roared, and Jake's jaw dropped. Holy crap, I was right, he said, pointing. She's a pro at this. The elder banged his staff, but the chamber was chaos. Zyloran's whispering, some laughing. Jake, barefoot and glittering, felt like he'd accidentally won a debate. So, am I free now? He asked, waving his crystal. Before the elder could answer, a loud beep echoed, and the holographic screens flickered. The robotic voice from the oxygen crisis blared. AI system overload. Tribunal protocols compromised. The platform shook, and a screen projected random Galactic Mates profiles, including Jake's with a type-written bio, Earth guy, loves tacos, bad at dancing. The crowd panicked, aliens slipping off platforms, and the elder staff sparked, short-circuiting. Jake's engineer brain kicked in. Oh, hell no, not another glitch. He sprinted to a console, dodging a falling hologram of his own face. His multi-tool was gone, traded for the cube, but he had the stasis core from the market. Come on, space gadget. Do your thing, he muttered, jamming the core into the console's wiring. The humming cube pulsed, stabilizing the system, and the screen stabilized, now showing a Zyloran news feed. The shaking stopped, and the robotic voice shut up. The crowd clapped, stunned, and Jake stood, juice-soaked and sparkling, his undershirt torn. Fixed it, I think, he said, scratching his head. The elder, robe-frazzled, nodded. Earthling, your actions absolve you. You are free. Jake grinned, but Celine grabbed his arm, her grip like a vice. Not so fast, she said, her starry eyes intense. You exposed me, Jake. That was bold. Dangerous, but bold. Dangerous? I'm the one barefoot in a courtroom. Jake said, but her look shut him up. She let him out, the crowd still buzzing about her Galactic Mates profile. Jake's phone buzzed, but before he could check it, Celine stopped at a quiet alcove, her dress dimming in the low light. You've done well, she said, her voice softer. Better than most. Zara wants to meet you. Now. Jake's heart stopped. Now? Like right now. He looked like he'd been through a food fight and a glitter explosion. I'm a mess. Celine smirked. She's seen worse. She tapped her bracelet, and a door slid open, revealing a small lounge with glowing walls. A figure stood there, silver skin, nebula hair, starry eyes. Zara, just like the video call, but real, her tight jumpsuit hugging curves that made Jake's brain short-circuit. She turned, smiling, but her eyes flickered like a hologram glitch. Hey, Jake, she said, her voice silky. You're sparklier than I expected. Jake's mouth went dry. Zara? You're wow. Real. He stepped closer, barefoot and dripping, his crystal turning pink in his hand. She laughed, but her laugh was off. Too perfect, like a recording. She touched his arm, her fingers cold, and Jake's gut twisted. Something wasn't right. Was this Zara or another Celine trick? Her eyes, up close, looked too much like Celine's. You okay? He asked, stepping back. Your eyes, they're doing that starry thing. Like your mom's. Zara's smile faltered, just for a second. Mom's eyes? Funny guy. She leaned closer, but a loud beep from Jake's phone broke the moment. He glanced at it. A new Galactic Mates message. Don't trust the lounge. Z. His blood ran cold. Who sent that? The real Zara? Or was this Zara the fake? Jake's heart thumped like a bass drum in the soft glow of the Zyloran lounge. His bare feet stuck to the floor like he'd waded through cosmic molasses. His undershirt, a soggy masterpiece of neon juice and glitter, screamed intergalactic train wreck, and his duffel bag, packed with a stasis core, a mood crystal, and an empty chip bag, slouched beside him like a defeated sidekick. Zara stood before him, her silver skin shimmering, nebula hair cascading, and her tight jumpsuit hugging curves that fried his brain. Her starry eyes locked on his, but that cold touch and too perfect smile from moments ago, paired with the Galactic Mates' message, "Don't trust the lounge." Z had him wired. Was she real, or was Celine, the silver-skinned matchmaker, still playing him like a cheap kazoo? "I'm not moving till I get the full story," he muttered, scratching his itchy, glittering arm. Zara tilted her head, smirking. "Full story? You look like you rolled through a glow-stick factory, Earth guy." Jake snorted, waving his phone. "Glowstick? I'm a disco landfeed. And this," he flashed the message, "says I shouldn't trust you. Or this fancy love den. So, Zara, you real or another Celine smoke show?" Before Zara could reply, the lounge door hissed open, and Celine swept in, her disco ball dress sparkling like a galaxy on overdrive. Her starry eyes twinkled with that infuriating mischief. "Smoke show? Flattering, Earthling," she said, her laugh shaking the walls. "You're still here, glitter and all. That's worth a nod." Jake's eyes narrowed. "A nod? I'm done with your space shenanigans, Celine. You catfished me, tossed me into feasts, markets, and trials, and now this sketchy lounge setup. I want the truth." He pointed at Zara, then Celine. "One of you sent this message. Fess up." Celine's bracelet flickered, and Zara's smirk deepened, but neither spilled. Jake's gut screamed trap, and he was fed up. "Fine, I'll dig it up myself," he said, grabbing his stasis core from the duffel. The humming cube was his lifeline. He spotted a wall panel pulsing with Zyloran tech, probably linked to Galactic Mates. "Time to crack this alien soap opera," he muttered, jamming the core into the panel. He'd debugged enough servers to know a backdoor when he saw one. The lounge's holographic screens glitched, spewing Galactic Mates data, chat logs, profiles, and Celine's fake Zara account, complete with filter settings to mimic her daughter's face. The screens froze on a log. Celine's flirty messages to Jake, time-stamped from their first video call. Zara's eyes widened, and Celine's dress dimmed, her face twitching like she'd been caught raiding the fridge. Jake's jaw dropped. "Boom! You've been Zara this whole time, Celine." The lounge went quiet, then Zara laughed, a warm, silky sound, not the robotic echo from before. "Got her, Jake," she said, stepping closer, her jumpsuit catching the light. "Mom's toast. I told her you'd sniff it out." Celine groaned, sinking onto a floating cushion that hummed softly. "You hack my system? Reckless, Earthling. And bold." "Bold? You faked a whole romance to mess with me." Jake snapped, pointing at the screens. "You sent those flirty texts, set up that feast where I chowed sacred jelly, the market where I lost my shoes, and that trial where I looked like a galactic doofus. I deserve to know who I'm dealing with." Zara raised a hand, her starry eyes soft. "You're dealing with me now. I'm real, Jake. Mom hijacked my profile to test you. She's paranoid about my dating life. But I've been watching your chaos. The feast? Hilarious. The market glitter bomb? Legendary. The trial where you outed Mom's old Galactic Mates profile? Chef esquisse." She winked, and Jake's chest puffed, despite his neon mess. Jake blinked, brain scrambling to catch up. "So, you're the real Zara? No filters, no holograms? And you like me? Even looking like this?" He gestured to his barefoot, juice-soaked, glittering disaster of a self, his mood crystal turning pink. Zara's laugh was pure music, especially like this. "Zyloran guys are snoozes. You're a hot mess, but a fun one. And sharp." Her touch, warm, not cold, sent a jolt through him. "I sent that message, by the way. Wanted to see if you'd trust your gut." Jake's knees wobbled. "You sent Don't Trust the Lounge? Damn, that's slick. I thought I was in a sci-fi conspiracy flick." He grinned, tension melting, but Celine clapped, her dress flaring like a spotlight. "Enough mush," Celine said, standing. "We're settling this with a family meeting, right here. Geek, seat. Prove you're worth my daughter." Jake eased onto a cushion, which hummed, but didn't yeet him. Thank the stars. The lounge felt like a sci-fi living room, with floating cushions circling a low table of glowing drinks and holographic art, swirling galaxies and oddly flirty plants. Zara sat beside him, her jumpsuit brushing his arm, while Celine loomed like a sparkly judge. A scaly Zyloran elder and a tentacled teen, Zara's grandpa and cousin, Jake figured, joined, eyeing him like he was a questionable taco truck. The elder's scales clicked. Earthling, you've caused disturbances. Explain why you're suitable for Zara. Jake rubbed his neck, feeling like he was at a job interview with no tie and a ketchup stain. Suitable? I'm not a Zyloran with shiny scales or fancy tentacles. I'm a coder who likes tacos and accidentally hacks alien dating apps. The teen snickered, and Jake leaned into it. But I survived your tests. Feast, market, trial. All while looking like a neon trash heap. I'm here for Zara because she's awesome, not because I want a space trophy. Zara smirked, sipping a glowing drink, but the elder's eyes narrowed. You speak boldly, but can you honor our ways? Share a Zyloran custom. Jake's stomach sank. Custom? I tanked your feast etiquette. He glanced at Zara, who nodded encouragingly, and took a swing. Okay, on Earth, we do toasts. Like, raise a glass and say something nice. Can I try? The elder nodded, and Jake grabbed a glowing cup, sniffing it warily. No jelly vibes, score. He stood, clearing his throat. To Zara, for being cool enough to dig a glittery mess like me. And to Celine, for, making me earn it. The teen clapped, tentacles waving, and Zara's laugh warmed the room. The elder's scales softened, and even Celine's dress seemed to glow less aggressively. Well spoken, Earthling, the elder said. Your sincerity is noted. Jake blinked, sitting carefully. Sincerity? So, I'm not getting the boot. He shot Zara a look, and she leaned closer, her starry eyes sparkling. You're not, Zara said, her voice silky. You're fun, Jake. And you've got guts. Hacking mom system? Not many would try that. Her hand brushed his, and his mood crystal turned blue, practically humming. Celine sighed, her dress dimming. Fine. You're a menace, Jake, but you've earned Zara's time. I tested you. Maybe too hard. I used Galactic Mates to vet you, and you passed. Barely. She gave a grudging nod, and the teen cheered, tentacles flailing. The elder raised a hand. We agree. You're suitable, Earthling. You and Zara may have a private meeting, alone, on your terms. Jake's jaw dropped. Private? Like a date? No tests, no glowing jelly. He turned to Zara, who was grinning like she planned this all along. Earth style, Zara said, standing, her jumpsuit glinting. Tacos, no weird drinks. I'm in. Her wink made Jake's heart do a backflip, and he grinned, forgetting his neon state. Deal, Jake said, mock bowing. But I'm picking the spot, no alien curveballs. He turned to Celine, saluting. Thank for the gauntlet, Mom. Worth it. Celine's laugh was warm, despite herself. Get off my station, Earthling, and shower. The teen bounced, tentacles waving, as a Galactic Mates notification pinged Jake's phone. Match confirmed. Jake and Zara. The elder nodded, muttering about modern nonsense, but his scales gleamed with approval. As Jake and Zara left the lounge, her arm brushing his, he felt like he'd conquered a galaxy. He'd hacked a system, charmed a Zyloran family, and scored a date with a goddess, all while looking like a neon junkyard. Back on Earth, he'd have a story to shut up his buddy Mike for good. His crystal glowed green, matching his vibe. HFY, baby, he muttered, ready for tacos and a real shot with Zara.